In love and connection, people learn through experience, not explanation. The moment you stop explaining your worth and start embodying it, the world shifts around you. When he ignores you, your silence should not come from pain but from clarity. You are not someone to be half loved, half seen, or half prioritized. You are the full experience, and unless someone is ready to meet you there, they don't get to borrow pieces of you while figuring it out. So let your silence teach what your words never could. Let your absence echo louder than your presence ever begged to be. Let him feel the price of ignoring you not as revenge, but as revelation. Because the one who truly values you will never risk losing you in the first place. You are not here to prove you're worthy of love. You're here to protect your peace until love shows up worthy of you. That's how you teach him the price of ignoring you, by walking like you've already learned it yourself. There is something incredibly underrated about silence. In a world that tells you to speak louder, to text again, to fight for someone who's slipping away, I'm telling you the opposite. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. When someone begins to ignore you, the texts slow down, the calls stop, the attention fades. Your instinct might be to fight the silence, to fill it with noise. You feel the urge to over-explain, to ask what's wrong, to convince them you're worth staying for. But let me tell you something that can change the game. Pulling away speaks louder than trying harder. See, silence has a weight. When you go quiet, not out of manipulation, but out of clarity, it echoes in a person's mind far longer than a long paragraph ever could. When you stop fighting for someone who's stopped showing up, you teach them a lesson they never forget. You will not beg for basic respect. The truth is, people don't listen to your words as much as they watch your actions. You could tell someone over and over again how you feel, what you need, and how much their distance hurts you. But if you keep showing up while they pull away, they'll never truly believe your standards have changed. But the moment you remove your presence from someone who took it for granted, everything shifts. Silence is powerful because it's unexpected. People are used to reactions. They're used to being confronted, questioned, even chased. But when you go still, when you simply stop explaining, stop engaging, stop overgiving, you create a space they can't ignore. And in that space, one of two things happens. Either they realize they never truly valued you, or they finally wake up to how much they did. Let's be clear, silence isn't about games. It's not about punishing anyone. It's about protecting your heart. It's about stepping back not because you don't care, but because you care too much to keep pouring into someone who won't meet you halfway. It's about preserving your energy, your dignity, and your sense of self-worth, because what you tolerate teaches people how to treat you. And when someone can ignore you and still receive your love, your loyalty, your kindness, they have no reason to change. But when you step back, you disrupt that dynamic, you remove the reward for poor behavior, you send a silent message that says, I am not desperate, I am not available for inconsistency, I will not water dead plants, and yes, silence is scary. It can feel like rejection, it can feel like losing, but here's the truth, you're not losing anything that was real, you're just making space for what's right. You see, people only chase what they fear losing. And when you've been too available, too forgiving, too constant in the face of someone's distance, they stop fearing the loss of you. But the moment you reclaim your space, when you stop texting, stop initiating, stop filling in their gaps, that's when they're forced to face what it actually feels like not to have you. And if they don't notice, if your silence doesn't shake them at all, that silence gave you your answer. You deserve someone who doesn't need to lose you to realize what they had. Someone who listens not just to your words, but to your boundaries. Someone who sees your silence not as a challenge to conquer, but as a mirror reflecting back how their actions caused you to leave. Silence is how you move with grace when you no longer feel safe to speak. Silence is how you honor your value when words have fallen on deaf ears. Silence is not weakness. It's a mature, calm, unshakable declaration that says, I love myself too much to chase someone who doesn't know how to value me. So if you're sitting there wondering what to say next, how to fix it, how to make him care, I want you to remember this. You don't fix disrespect with more access. You don't heal hurt by proving your worth. You heal by retreating into your own peace and letting the silence do what your words never could. When you pull away, when you go quiet, you're not giving up. You're leveling up. You're turning down the volume on chaos so you can turn up the volume on clarity. And in that silence, you'll hear the truth you were drowning out all along. You never needed to be louder. You just needed to stop speaking to someone who was never listening. There comes a time in every relationship, whether romantic, friendship, or even family, when you need to ask yourself a question that changes everything. Am I rewarding someone who no longer values me? It's not a dramatic question. It's not meant to hurt. It's meant to wake you up, because far too often we give the best of us to people who show up with only half their heart. We stay available for someone who's inconsistent. We overextend ourselves in the name of love, thinking that if we just prove our loyalty, our devotion, our goodness, they'll eventually see our value and reciprocate. But life, especially relationships, doesn't work like that. There is a fundamental truth that too many people forget. You teach others how to treat you by what you tolerate. And if you continue to reward someone's lack of presence with your constant devotion, you're not teaching them to love you, you're teaching them they can get away with less and still keep you. Let's be real for a moment. If a person doesn't have to show up, doesn't have to apologize, doesn't have to put in effort, and they still get your time, your body, your loyalty, why would they change? Why would they step up when you've already lowered the standard for them to stay? This is the law of value. Do not reward what doesn't value you, not because you're cold, not because you want to win, but because your energy is precious, your love is sacred, and you are not here to audition for someone who can't even show up for the role. Think about this. If someone ignores your needs, minimizes your emotions, gives you just enough to keep you around, but not enough to make you feel secure, and you keep showing up, keep initiating, keep pouring your all, you are rewarding their lack of effort. You are saying, you don't have to try harder because I'll stay anyway. That's not love, that's self-abandonment. Now, this doesn't mean you shut down the moment someone makes a mistake. We're human. People mess up. But if there's a pattern, a repeated cycle where you feel unseen, unheard, and undervalued, and you continue to give without receiving, you're not being strong, you're being used. This is where emotional maturity comes in. You can have empathy for why someone behaves a certain way. Maybe they're busy, maybe they're scared of commitment, maybe they've been hurt. That's fine, but understanding someone's behavior doesn't mean you excuse it. You can understand it and still say, I love you, but this doesn't feel like love. You can be kind and still walk away. You can have a soft heart and a solid boundary at the same time. That's what honoring your value looks like. So how do you stop rewarding what doesn't value you? First, you get brutally honest with yourself. Where in your life are you overgiving? Where are you investing in someone who isn't investing in you? Write it down, face it. Second, you stop trying to earn someone's attention. You let go of the need to prove that you're enough. You are already enough. The right person won't need endless reminders to treat you with love, care, and consistency. They'll just do it. Third, you reclaim your attention. Take it back from people who waste it. Pour it into things that light you up, your purpose, your passions, your peace. Build a life so rich that anyone who wants to be part of it has to rise to meet your level. And most importantly, you remember this, love is not proven by how much you endure, it's shown by how well you are treated. People who truly value you will not risk losing you through disrespect, distance, or disregard. They'll show up not just in words, but in actions, and until you meet someone like that, you don't lower the bar to keep someone who can't even lift their own weight in the relationship. You become the standard not out of ego, but out of truth. You say with your actions, I don't beg to be chosen. I align with those who choose me fully. And when you live that truth, when you operate from that place of inner strength, you'll find that the people who aren't meant for you start to fall away. Not because they're bad, but because your value, the real, radiant, undeniable energy you carry, will no longer fit inside the small containers they offered. You were never meant to shrink. You were meant to shine. There's a difference between being a standard and being a warning. A standard is a person who lives their truth so clearly, so consistently, that others know exactly what is required to stand beside them. A warning is someone who's been through pain, betrayal, patterns, and now serves as a story that others tell themselves to avoid becoming. The truth is, too many of us have been treated as a lesson in someone else's life. We were the one who loved deeply while they stayed unsure. We forgave too soon, we waited too long, and when it ended, we weren't remembered for our worth, we were remembered as the moment they realized they needed to do better. For someone else, and that hurts, because deep down you wanted to be the one, not the stepping stone. But here's the shift you need to make. You don't become a standard by being enough for someone. You become a standard by being enough for yourself first. Being a standard means you don't settle for what you know will eventually break your heart. You don't wait around for someone to realize your worth, you know it, before they ever enter the picture. You move with intention, you love with depth, but you never chase, because a woman or a man who has claimed their worth doesn't need to convince anyone of it. The biggest lie we're sold is that if we just try harder, we can change someone. That if we're patient, nurturing, giving, eventually they'll meet us where we are. But here's the thing, your energy can't build a relationship on its own. It takes two people showing up consistently, willingly, openly, and when only you are doing the work. That's not a relationship, that's a performance. When you step into your self-worth, something powerful happens. You stop hoping people will change, and you start noticing whether they're even trying. And when they're not, you walk away, not out of anger, but out of alignment. Being a standard doesn't mean you're perfect. It means your boundaries are clear. It means you know your peace is non-negotiable. It means that love to you is more than chemistry, it's consistency. It's not just butterflies, it's behavior. It's not just attraction, it's action. So many people say they want real love, but keep rewarding breadcrumbs. They say they want loyalty, but entertain people who treat them like options. They claim they want depth, but settle for shallow because it's familiar. But being a standard means breaking that cycle for good. It means saying, I don't care how good the chemistry is, if the communication isn't safe, I'm not staying. It means saying, I'm not here to be your maybe, I'm not here to fix you, I'm here to love, grow, and build something real. And it means meaning it. Because the world doesn't need more people playing small to make someone else feel big. It needs more people owning their space, standing tall in their truth, and walking away from anything that asks them to dim their light. You've probably been a warning before, we all have. You were the one who tolerated too much, who forgave what should have been walked away from, who held on even when it hurt. But that version of you, she's your past. Now you become the version that people meet and say, wow, she's different. I have to step up if I want to be in her life. That's the power of becoming a standard. You don't just attract love, you elevate it. You stop being a checkpoint in someone's journey, and you become the destination they were never ready for until now. So how do you live as a standard? You start by knowing your value not just in theory, but in action. You stop answering calls from people who disappeared when you needed them. You stop making space for people who only show up when it's convenient. You protect your peace like it's gold, because it is. You learn to enjoy your own company so deeply that anyone who enters your life has to add to it, not fill a void. And most of all, you don't let loneliness trick you into settling for connection that costs your self-respect. Because the truth is, the way someone treats you is a reflection of what you allow. And when you stop allowing the bare minimum, you make space for the extraordinary. Let others learn their lessons. You're done being the warning. You're the standard now. And the people who are meant for you, they won't feel intimidated by that. They'll feel inspired to rise and meet you there. There's a moment in every heartbroken person's life where they sit in silence, staring at their phone, refreshing a chat that hasn't changed in days. They say they're okay, but every breath they take is a quiet whisper of maybe he'll call. Maybe she'll come back. Maybe if I wait just a little longer, something will change. But what if the change you're waiting for is you? See, we don't just wait for people. We wait for apologies. We wait for closure. We wait for someone to realize what we meant to them. We wait to feel ready to let go. We wait for that one perfect message that makes the pain go away. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. Waiting is a prison you build with your own hope. You lock yourself inside it every time you give someone else the power to decide how you feel, how you heal, and how you live. And I'm here to remind you your life is not on pause until someone else makes up their mind. You don't heal by hoping. You heal by choosing to take your power back, choosing to live anyway. You may not feel strong right now. That's okay. You may still think of them, still miss them, still wonder if it could have been different. That's okay too. But what's not okay, what's never okay, is putting your future in the hands of someone who's already shown you they're not holding it with care. Emotional control isn't about never feeling hurt. It's about choosing how long you let that hurt lead your decisions. Let me tell you something that will change how you look at your pain. Your heartbreak is valid, but it's not the whole story. Your life is not just what happened with them. It's everything you do after. It's how you rise. It's the moment you stop letting your emotions drive your car and instead you grab the wheel and say, I'm done waiting, I'm driving now. Because the longer you wait for them to come back, the longer you delay your own return back to your power, your peace, your purpose. It's not easy. No one's saying it is, but every time you say no more, even in a whisper, every time you go to bed without checking their page, every time you make a plan for yourself by yourself, that's you reclaiming control. Here's the truth. The person you thought you needed to feel whole, they were never the missing piece. You were the part of you that stopped believing in your worth, the part of you that gave love so easily but forgot to keep some for yourself, the part of you that confused attachment for affection, but that part of you can come back. It's not lost, it's just quiet, and you awaken it by doing one thing, living, not just existing, not just surviving, but living even while it still hurts, living even before the closure, living even if they never say sorry. Living because the greatest revenge is not silence and it's not success. The greatest revenge is peace. It's waking up one day and realizing you're no longer waiting, no longer wondering, no longer dependent on their return to validate your journey. You get to write your comeback story and it doesn't need a co-author, so stop waiting for clarity, for signs, for closure that may never come. Start now, start small, take yourself on a walk. Go buy flowers for your kitchen, say yes to something you've been putting off, change your environment, unfollow who you need to, block if you must, journal your pain, cry if it rises, then get up and move. Again and again, because you deserve momentum, you deserve to feel alive again, and you don't need them to feel it. You just need to stop giving them your emotional remote control. There is power in saying, I am allowed to miss you and still move on. I am allowed to feel pain and still choose joy. I am allowed to love myself more than I love the idea of what we could have been. Emotional control doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about you more than waiting for someone who stopped caring first. So if you've been stuck in a cycle waiting for that message, that apology, that magical moment, this is your sign, not from the universe, from you. This is the version of you who's rising, the version who's tired of wasting her days in emotional limbo. The version who's whispering, let's start living again. No, it won't be perfect, but it will be powerful. Because from this day forward, you are done handing your life over to people who can't even hold a conversation. You are done begging to be chosen. You are done waiting for closure that you're strong enough to give yourself. You're not broken, you're building, and the life you deserve, it starts now. There's a deep shift that happens the moment you stop acting out of pain and start living from power. Most people don't realize they're chasing. They think they're loving. They think they're being loyal. They think they're fighting for something meaningful. But what they're really doing is chasing an emotional high that's never been consistent. They're chasing someone who feels more like a wound than a home, and here's the truth no one wants to admit. You chase when you believe you aren't enough without them. Let that sink in. You chase when you believe love is something you have to earn. You chase when your self-worth has been placed outside of yourself, attached to someone else's validation, presence, attention, or approval, and it's easy to fall into, especially when someone gives you just enough to stay hooked, but never enough to feel secure. They come close, then pull away. They say all the right things, but do nothing to back them up. They leave you confused, but convinced it must be you, not them. And what do? We respond with more effort. More texts, more availability, more giving, all while slowly losing ourselves. But listen to this carefully. What is meant for you will not need to be chased. When something is aligned with your soul, it will feel peaceful, even in the unknown. It won't always be easy, but it will be clear. You'll feel seen, you'll feel safe, you'll feel chosen, not just occasionally, consistently. The shift from pain to power begins with this. Stop asking, why didn't they choose me? Start asking, why was I trying so hard to prove I was worthy of being chosen? That's where the work lives. Because the moment you heal the belief that love is something you must earn, you start to attract from a different energy. You're no longer coming from a place of lack. You're coming from a place of wholeness. You don't call someone who disappeared. You don't romanticize the one who couldn't commit. You don't convince someone to see your value. Because your value isn't up for debate. It just is. You begin to walk differently. You carry yourself like someone who knows their presence is a gift, not because of arrogance, but because of alignment. And from that place, you don't settle, you don't chase, you don't shrink, you become a magnet, because confidence isn't loud, power isn't aggressive, it's still, quiet, certain. It's the kind of energy that makes people lean in, wondering what makes you so grounded, so unapologetically whole. You're no longer addicted to potential, you're tuned into patterns, you're no longer chasing chemistry, you're craving character, and here's where it gets even more beautiful, the love you truly desire. It's not just something you give or receive, it's something you embody. You live in love, you speak in love, you move in love. You stop looking for someone to complete you and start honoring yourself so deeply that anyone who enters your life has to match the frequency you've already set. From pain we beg, from power we become. Now ask yourself this: do I want someone who chooses me out of guilt, confusion, or convenience? Or do I want someone who sees my soul and chooses me freely? If it's the latter, then your job isn't to pursue, prove, or push. Your job is to align with your peace, your values, your boundaries, your joy. And the more you do that, the more you make space for the people who are meant for you to show up, not because you chased them, but because you called them in with your energy. Don't get me wrong, love takes effort. It requires vulnerability, patience, communication, but it should never require you to abandon yourself just to be chosen. If it hurts more than it heals, if you lose more sleep than you find comfort, if you keep trying and they keep drifting, that's not love, that's your trauma bonding to hope. So come back home to you, to the version of you that's not broken or desperate or waiting to be seen, but the version that knows her heart is already enough. Attract from that place, because what's meant for you won't need to be chased. It will recognize you, it will meet you, it will honor you, and most of all it will feel peaceful.